poder narrativo de Harari agora ganha um novo episódio com o lançamento mundial de Nexus, uma breve história das redes de informação da Idade da Pedra à inteligência artificial. Obra em que ele esmiuça o fluxo de informações que nos moldou ao longo de milênios e que culmina hoje nas promessas e ameaças da inteligência não humana. Um dos temas centrais do seu novo livro, Nexus, é informação. Nexus, segundo o dicionário inglês Oxford, é um laço, uma junção, um meio de conexão entre coisas separadas. Ou um network, uma rede. Em qual sentido se aplica melhor às intenções de seu livro?
Exactly this meaning of if it's a bond, it's a network. The big question is, what is information? People often think that information is about the truth. But information is not necessarily about the truth. Information is essentially a connection, and very often the truth is not a strong connection. It's much easier to connect people with fantasies, with fictions, than it is with the truth. And you know, the basic question of the book is, if people are so smart, why are we so stupid? We are the most smartest animal in the world. We know so much, and yet we engage in so many self-destructive activities, like wars, like the ecological destruction, and now with AI we are creating a technology that might destroy us. Why is it? And it's not because there is something wrong with us individually. It's not about human nature. The answer the book gives is that good people, kind people, wise people will make bad and destructive decisions if they are given bad information. And the world is flooded by bad information because, unfortunately, it's the easiest way to create bonds between people, with fictions and fantasies and not with the truth. So the book is really about this phenomenon of how do you connect people and what are the problems, but the pitfalls when you try to connect a very large number of people.
Quando você escreve esse livro, tem hoje senso de urgência?
Absolutely. You know, we have the most sophisticated information technology in history, and we are losing the ability to talk with each other. We see that the public conversation in many countries around the world, in Israel, in the United States, in Brazil, the public conversation is collapsing. People don't agree on any facts, they can't trust each other, they can't listen to each other. Why is it that we have such good information technology and people can't talk? It's the big paradox of our present era. We think that with better technology, things will improve, but it doesn't. And now we seem not to be learning the lesson because we are creating even much more powerful technology than social media or the technology of the previous decade. Now we are creating AI, which is different from every previous technology in history because it's the first technology that can make decisions by itself, can create new ideas by itself. It's no longer a tool, it's an agent. You know, even an atom bomb was a very powerful technology, but it gave power to us because the atom bomb could not decide where to explode, who to attack, and it couldn't create anything new. AI is much more powerful because it can make decisions. An autonomous weapon system can, for instance, decide who to attack, where to strike. And it can also invent new kinds of weapons, new kinds of strategies. So in this sense, it is taking power away from us. You cannot put a company, if you're a car company, you produce cars, you have to invest a lot of money in safety. If you don't do research and you don't develop safety mechanisms for the car, seat belts and brakes and all kinds of other gadgets to make sure the car is safe, you are not allowed to put the car on the road. It's the same when you develop medicines. You can't just invent a medicine and without any safety measures, without any checks, just release it to the public. Let's see what happens. It's not allowed in medicine. Why is it allowed with AI? What happens if you give AI control of the financial system? More and more of the transactions in the stock exchange, in all these financial institutions, is done by AI, and there is a huge financial crisis. It's not the Hollywood scenarios of robots rebelling against humans. It's something like AI causing a financial crisis, and again, it is possible to do it in a safe way.
Como é que a gente pode se livrar dessa armadilha? Como você diz, informação não é necessariamente a matéria-prima da verdade.
Yes.
E o que a direita está fazendo hoje é usar as velhas mensagens e o método da velha esquerda de que toda informação não é verdade, de que a verdade não existe.
Most information is not about the truth because you need to invest effort, time in order to create truthful information. The truth is more difficult than to produce fiction. Producing fiction is easy. You just invent anything you want. To invent some conspiracy theory, it takes seconds. You want to write something truthful, it's much more difficult. So if you want the truth, you need to work hard. Most of the information is not the truth. This is why you need to invest in building institutions like newspapers, like universities, like research institutions, because you need to work hard to produce the truth. Now, what we see with populist leaders, that they completely undermine the trust of people in everything. They tell us that everybody is lying. They tell us that we shouldn't trust any institution. They depict the world as just a power struggle, just like the old Marxists. The old Marxists, they told people that the whole world is just a power struggle between the oppressors and the oppressed. Anytime two people interact, this is a power struggle. So whenever you hear somebody say something, you don't ask what is the truth, you ask whose interests are being served by this. This is a very, very cynical view of the world, which destroys trust, which destroys democracy, because if you can't trust anybody, then democracy collapses. So the antidote to this is to remind people, just think about yourself. Do you personally care about the truth? Are you just engaged in power struggles with everybody? Are you just trying to manipulate everybody? Or you yourself, you care about the truth, right? When you engage with people, with your friends, with your family, this is not just a power struggle. So if you think like this about yourself, why don't you think like this about other people? Almost all the people in the world are like you. They also are interested genuinely in the truth. Yes, there are also power struggles. That's right. That's part of reality. But this is not the whole of reality.
As conquistas imperiais, as guerras mundiais, os genocídios e os regimes totalitários foram experimentos deploráveis que ensinaram aos seres humanos como não proceder. Alguns podem argumentar que no final do século XX a humanidade entenderá mais ou menos a lição. Mas, apesar disso, a mensagem para o século XXI é desoladora. Se a humanidade precisou de tantas lições terríveis para aprender a usar a energia a vapor e os telégrafos, qual será o preço de aprender a usar a bioengenharia e a inteligência artificial? Como é que a gente pode evitar o pior dentro de um sistema democrático?
The first step is to recognize the danger. Because some people say that we've learned from history that every time there is a new technology, you have these doomsday scenarios. People are afraid of the consequences, and in the end, it's okay. Like when the Industrial Revolution came, there were all these scary scenarios, but in the end, industry made life better for most humans. And this is true, but the problem is the transition period, the learning how to use the new technology. When the Industrial Revolution invented steam engines and telegraphs, nobody knew how to build a good industrial society. So people experimented. Imperialism was an experiment in building industrial societies. Lots of people in the US, in Germany, in Japan, they said the only industrial society can be an empire because you need to control the sources of raw materials and the markets. And it took 100 years of terrible wars and oppression to realize that this wasn't so. You had other people like Hitler and Stalin and Mussolini telling people that the best industrial society was a totalitarian society. And again, it took many generations and millions of victims to realize this wasn't true. In the end, we learned how to build good industrial societies. But think about the cost of learning this. If we have to go again with AI through the same process of empires and totalitarianism and world wars, then this will be catastrophic for humanity. The basic understanding should be, again, that we make mistakes. Don't assume that the technology is perfect, and don't assume that you know how to use it. Therefore, we need to invest a lot in safety and in very strong self-correcting mechanisms.